G'day listeners and welcome to another APS Weekly News Bulletin, keeping you up to date and well informed on the Australian property market and everything that's happening in real time. Story number one, guys, over 35% of home loans are now for first home buyers. Article by realestatebusiness.com.au, Maurice Tapang, an economist at the Housing Industry Association, or the HIA, said the number of housing loans issued to first-time buyers has been steadily increasing in recent months, pointing to strong demand for homes from aspiring home owners. Following the release of the latest data from the ABS, he said it has been 10 months since the last rate increase and home buying confidence is picking up across different borrower types, pointing out that first home buyers have been resilient in this cycle. So the number of loans issued to the cohort was up by 0.8% across July to almost 10,000. This leaves the number of loans issued in the 3 months of July 2024 to first home buyers as 6.4% higher compared to the same time in the previous year. Overall, loans to first-home buyers made up 35.4% of the overall buying market across July, above the historical average of roughly 30%. Tapang said it busted the myth that investors are in competition with first-home buyers, pointing out that data shows that the two can both be very active in the same market. Taking a closer look at investment loans, the economist said that investors in the market have been important in adding to housing supply, particularly in this cycle, amid higher rents and low vacancy rates. Loans issued to investors building new homes rose by 26.7% in the 3 months of July 2024 compared to the same time last year, which is a massive increase. As expected, investors are the first segment of the market to return as they see through the microdynamics of house price growth and rising rents. It is expected that owner-occupiers will follow suit, which will see more of them flow into the new home market and a return of confidence and certain build costs and timeframes. Look, in summary, guys, it's very interesting to actually see that first home buyers making up over 1/3 of the housing market. What we've typically seen, as Mr. Tapang here has written, over the long term, 25 to 30% is typical of what you see in the housing market, combined with typically around about 30% of investors. It's very interesting that at this point in time, both investor numbers are up, but the fact that first home buyer numbers are so high, it's a really, really positive fact. A lot of first home buyers probably transitioning out of rentals or coming out of living with mum and dad, saving up that first deposit, taking advantage of grants, specifically around new builds and whatnot, and getting out there in the marketplace as well. So it's a really, really positive sign, and really it nips the thing in the butt about the idea that this generational gap is forming in terms of the lower generation never being able to afford their own homes. Literally 36% of the market in July was first home buyers out there buying their first property. So it's a really, really good signs. It's always great when owner-occupier numbers are strong, but especially when first home buyer numbers are strong as well. And from an investment point of view, we do compete a lot of the time in the same markets as first home buyers. So I see it as a strong thing that first home buyers are out there in force, because it means that that owner occupiers in that market segment are still driving demand for property in those locations. So if it was purely investors, you'd be a bit worried. But the fact that first home buyers are there pushing a lot of the time in those same markets, it's only a good sign of things to come, I believe, moving forward. And especially next year, 2025, with the impending rate cuts in 25 and 26, I think that those numbers are only going to increase with more and more first home buyers getting out there in the market. Now, story number two, guys, rent caps ruled out in Queensland. The REIQ welcomes bipartisan rejection of rent caps in Queensland. Direct from the Property Buzz news desk. The Real Estate Institute of Queensland, REIQ, has welcomed declarations from both major parties that rent caps will not be introduced in Queensland regardless of the election outcome. The issue of rent caps has been hotly debated in Queensland over the past few years as the state has grappled with soaring rents, a housing supply crisis, and increasing pressure on the rental market. REIQ CEO Antonio Miccarello said the unequivocal statements made during the Great Debate by the Premier and the Leader of the Opposition would help restore investor confidence. This confirmation will help restore confidence to existing investors and provide appealing certainty to future investors, she says. The REIQ acknowledged that rents have risen significantly in Queensland since 2020, but argued that rent caps are not an effective solution. So what we'll probably see here, guys, I think is a really, really positive sign, is that literally if both sides of the party are saying that it's not going to come to the fore, that they're not going to put rent caps on, they're probably also committing from that perspective towards cutting red tape and making it easier for developments to come online and more housing supply to actually come to the market. Because if they're not going to put rent caps on, the only way to actually ease this is to provide more supply around that perspective. So as we, I think, are going to see in the future, we're going to see hopefully a bit more red tape cut, maybe a bit of pressure from the actual state government on local governments to ease that side of things, to allow housing projects and land subdivisions and multi-unit developments, all that sort of stuff, to come through more quickly as well. Whether they're going to find the builders to do it in that time frame, unsure. But as an investor, very, very good signs that they're not looking to bring in rental caps in Queensland. Obviously, they're doing this across the board. These conversations are being had everywhere across the country. It wasn't that long ago. They were speaking about it in Vic as well. So yeah, guys, good thing to see. Obviously, good signs for all of you that own property in Queensland, myself included, that rent caps have now been ruled out. And yeah, just positive signs to come moving forward in that side. Now, listeners, that's a wrap for another APS Weekly News Bulletin. I hope you took some great value from today's episode. If you did, please send the episode on to someone else you might think could also benefit from listening to this episode, and share the love around. Keep moving this thing around. Keep building your circle of influence of people talking, thinking, and acting the way that we do about property. And until next week, guys, it's another APS Weekly News Bulletin on the Scouting Australia podcast.